Hey everyone, welcome back. And in this video, I want to show you something interesting which is possible. It's a neat hack. It's not really a practice, a standardized, you can say it's a standardized practice, but it's sort of is a hack, a performance hack, which will allow your users to have best of both worlds. The first one is dynamic imports so that they do not slow down the initial load. And the next one is the instantaneous component rendering time, right? Which happens when you do not have dynamic imports. Hence the way I formatted the sentence, that is, you get the best of both worlds. So before I show you that, I'm going to show you an interesting observation. If you go to codedamn.com, for example, which is built with Next.js, let's say you are on learning paths, right? I'm going to open DevTools and I'm going to hop into the networks tab. Now pay close attention to what happens to the request section when I start hovering on the site on certain links. So you see, if I hover over contact us, you see we make 3 requests. If I hover over pricing, we make 3 more requests. If I hover over courses, we do that again. So what is happening? What are these requests? So you see, if you take a look at these, you're going to see these are actual some JS, CSS requests, some assets, right? Some static assets which are being loaded. So you might think, why are they loading? Why are they loading on hovering? Well, the reason for this is because now the moment I click on pricing, you're going to see, boom, it instantaneously loads. The moment I click on contact us, it instantaneously loads, right? There is 0 loading time. It almost feels like, you're developing locally with a static server or something. So why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? The reason for that is that, once you do that, it will put it in the cache, well, at least for Next.js, but for React, you can do a pretty much similar thing. You see, what happens is that if I just keep the DevTools open, what happens is that, well, we don't really want the user to have all sorts of JavaScript initially, but if the user is, for example, hovering over a link or hovering over a text or piece of text, you are pretty much sure that they're interested in that, right? Or at least, 50-60% sure, which is a good amount of guess because, the page has already loaded. So you don't really worry about the interactivity. Plus, if the network is free, obviously you can start downloading that stuff parallelly, because in case the user clicks on it, you're going to have a very seamless experience. So let's see how we can implement the similar effect, which I just saw on codedamn.com. So first things first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it like this because we do want the dynamic import. But right here, I'm going to clean up a little bit of mess. This looks like a lot of mess. So I'm just going to keep the suspense fallback to loading, right? And on click is perfectly fine. And we can get rid of this suspense right here. So what I want to do is right now you see that if I go ahead and throttle the speed to slow 3G, and if I click on this, we get a loading and then it keeps on loading for a couple of seconds and then we get the component, which is not very ideal, right? So let's change that. What I'm going to say that, hey, on H1, on mouse over, what I'm going to say is I want to load component, right? Now, how do we do that? Well, you see this load component right here should just load this component, and it might sound weird, but the only thing you have to do here is just import this file and really don't have to do anything with it, right? You might want to think about that, hey, do we want to do some then and all that stuff with this? Nope. Why? Because the moment you call this command, what's going to happen is the browser is going to fetch this piece of JavaScript anyway and put it in the cache. So the next time when React is calling this, or when it is actually needed, web browser is just going to see, oh, we do have that available, or Webpack can also see that we have already resolved this import, because this would already be cached inside the Webpack memory as well. So Webpack is just going to see, oh, we have already resolved this import, so let me just go ahead and use this JavaScript file directly. So that's it. You just have to do this, clear the console right here, refresh the page. And what I'm going to do is just clear this again, and I'm going to hover over the hello world thing, right? And pay close attention to what happens. So I hover over this and you can see that one.chunk.js gets loaded, right? If I hover over this again, you see it has already been loaded. So the Webpack knows that it is available in the cache. So it does not make a request again. So now when I click on this, you see we get instantaneous heavy component, which is pretty sweet. Let's see that once again in action. Now you see that we are actually running in a throttled mode, which is a slow network. Even after that, this works pretty well. So I'm going to clear this. I'm going to hover over this and I'm going to click on this, right? So we get loading. If this is already loading, we will get that loading for a split second, but that would obviously be less than what will happen if you do a fresh click, right? Because on a fresh click, the loading starts from 0. But if you are already hovering over it for, let's say, 200, 300 milliseconds, your code has got a head start in loading the code. So in some cases, it is possible that you might not get a loading screen at all, which is pretty sick. So now if you hover over this and if you click on it now, you see that you get boom, the heavy component right away. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you learned something new about eager loading, or just doing a little performance hack in order to improve your performance. And the way Next.js does it on my website on codedamn.com is that they will have a custom link component in itself, right? So whenever you use that component, it's gonna have this on mouse over and all that stuff, on mouse enter and stuff, that it's gonna perform that request. So it's pretty convenient. You don't really have to, again, use any sort of performance hacks yourself. They all come built in, but Next.js is for another day. For now, React is what it is at. So that is all for this video. I'm going to see you in the next one.